and welcome back, folks, to another rousing episode of The Tribe is Broken, your weekly Survivor 41 recap show. And this time we're coming to you at least before the premiere of this upcoming episode. As always, I'm still Koopa, and I'm joined by my tribe mate and partner on this show, Shenanigans. Shannon, how are you?
Hello, everybody. I'm good. This episode was a roller coaster for me, so I'm excited to talk about it.
Honestly, yeah, this is kind of a crazy episode, and I got these first few votes have been interesting to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
The show continues to get interesting, and yeah, I don't know. Considering how the previews for the next show went, these people are out here to play games, and I'm very curious to see how the tribe dynamics are going to maybe change, or what other twists are going to be thrown, into the fray here. But yeah, I I don't know where to start. I think we can start by pouring some of our drinks out for one of our favorite contestants, as Brad was the fourth contestant voted out this week. And we're going to talk about all the things why and how and what went wrong for our favorite cattle rancher from Wyoming this week. But yeah, Shannon, I know you were a big Brad stan. How hurt are you feeling right now?
So as I told you in the beginning of the episode, which we'll get into, I was so excited for Brad because it kind of seemed like prior to this, his tribe was gunning for him just a smidge, enough to make me kind of uncomfortable. And then he gets real lucky here in the beginning of the episode, and somehow it all literally, it's like people say, oh, the wheels fell off. Brad's wheels fell off. Like, I don't know what happened. Brad, I would struggle to call it a blindside, because it wasn't very sneaky. They just kind of said, all right, it's Brad, and it was Brad. But we'll get into it. Good. To start off here, they really went very, very advantage heavy the first part of the episode here. Actually, shout outs to the Entertainment Weekly article we are reading. Fun fact from the Entertainment Weekly article, the first 19 of 43 minutes were spent almost entirely on idol and advantage related things.
Wow, that's actually that's kind of crazy, especially if you watch this on Paramount Plus like I did. So it's essentially like 1/3 of your episode just being taken up by advantage getting. And listen, I think this is a line that if you're a hardcore Survivor fan, it's been kind of a hard one to walk for, I'd say, the last 6 or so seasons since Game Changers, and the original debut of advantage getting. They keep trying to shoehorn these twists into the game, and it's a little much. It's been a bit much for the last few years, and I didn't really mind like some of the advantages they've tried in the past, and it's something we'll talk about, I'm sure, in future episodes, as things like the shot in the dark die still have an opportunity to be played.
Yeah, we haven't really.
Maybe we'll eventually.
We haven't really seen the die quite yet. People have alluded to it. They've said, "Oh, I might use it." Nobody's used it. I myself, I don't mind. Like, you want to have an immunity idol, sure. You want to have like a redemption island, sure. For me, honestly, these advantages, it certainly is a lot this season. That's all I'll say, especially for a shorter season. They're really kind of throwing them in there, especially when you consider at the end of this episode, there is still a tribe, I believe is Luvu, that has not found their idol.
Yeah, which is, again, it's kind of a sad, fact to come to terms with, because again, we get this, and we'll talk about it a little bit later, but I do like the direction to go with these twists. I do like that. I think some people, I think some hardcore purists are going to feel a way about, production literally just leaving advantages around the camp for people to find them. I don't know if that's just a game thing or they're just tired of people not finding their stuff. But I do like that there's a penalty for for your choices and actions, and we see it be doubly awful for Brad this week, because Brad we'll start off with how the episode starts, where everyone's kind of talking on the beach and hanging out, and JD's doing all of his various Survivor impressions, and uh, which I thought was a lot of fun. You don't really see a lot of these like down to earth moments
Mhm.
anymore in like New School Survivor. But yeah, Shannon, Brad's gonna find the one of the other um beware advantages.
Yeah. So this was found by Brad of the Uwa tribe, Tiffany for Yase, and then Sydney for Luvu. For all of these, the first part. So we'll talk about just the beware advantage that the three of them find. When I say they found it, that's kind of a stretch. It was. I remember there was a scene in Tiffany specifically. I remember was just there. It was just
Yes.
there. It was just by the fire. Which, like you said, is that because people aren't finding things quick? I don't know. So it's like I said, Brad, Tiffany, and Sydney. It boat comes in the middle of the night. I believe all three of them. I know Tiffany shared it. Brad shared it. I'm trying to remember if Sydney shared it.
I don't think she did. Out of everybody that they've shown so far, like, everybody kind of finding their things, Sydney very much made it a point to just kind of like pick it up and go away from
Mm-hmm.
everybody else. So I don't think anybody on her tribe, like, and I can't really get a beat on Sydney either. I don't know who she's really working with. I think the only person you see her talk to is Danny. So maybe she's told Danny.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, Sydney feels very alpha and where she's kind of just out for herself. But yeah, we see these three people, stumble across these advantages. And what's your take on them just kind of leaving something like this, kind of just like hanging in the middle of camp?
I think for what it ends up being, I think that's fine. It wasn't like I mean, so basically, you could get, I think it was, let me see here. Let me see if I know it was a tarp, steal a vote. Um,
Yeah. So
okay, so
I
it's
think
it's those two.
yes, the RPS went, if everybody chose the tarp, everybody, you don't get anything. If everybody chooses steal a vote, everybody loses their vote. But if there's a split decision, whoever chooses the tarp gets nothing, and whoever chooses risk your vote gets a steal a vote.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, which feels very broken.
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure how I feel
Oh
about
no.
this one.
So according to this, if they all chose tarp, they did get tarp. If they all chose steal a vote, they lost their vote. But the split did work, as you said. So
Okay.
So, I believe so Brad gets the steal a vote, which ends up being pointless because, spoiler alert, Brad also finds his tribe's shared idol.
Yeah. This is I love this. And again, it kind of sucks that things, work out the way that they do for Brad, because he does find the messenger idol, or the charades idol, I guess is what I'm seeing it called across the fandom, where
Yes.
each tribe has a hidden immunity idol hidden. You have to activate it by hearing a password used at the immunity challenge,
Hmm.
found by Xander of the Yase tribe, and now Brad's found it. Still, again, no one's found it on the Luvu tribe, like we talked about. So
Well,
I'm hoping that changes.
I think it's hard because, from a production standpoint, we have not spent that much time with Luvu, because they keep doing so well. uh, so I think it would be hard to kind of work them finding the idol in there. Because at this point, it's other than activating the other two idols, for what reason? They keep doing so astoundingly well in all the challenges.
Yeah, it's really funny because we see some of the cracks in this tribe again. We haven't spent much time with the Luvu tribe, and again, that is a product because they just keep winning so much. We're seeing some cracks, and I'm not totally sure if that's just Sydney being the wedge that's kind of causing the cracks, or if it's a lot of Sydney versus Nasir in this episode. I don't think everybody's
Hmm.
pretty sick of Nasir,
Yeah.
despite being in love with him in that last episode. But it's a great, for again, winning's the best deodorant, and I think if this tribe has proven to be very strong, as again we did predict in the preseason. So good to see them kind of living up to fruition there.
Well, and I'm sure, if things keep going the way they go, we will see a lot of the Luvu tribe post merge because if they stay strong, they will have the numbers, clearly. Um, because and that's taking into account they could probably bring one or two people in from the other tribes. They're going to have a majority of the numbers. So I think we will get our time with them. It just might not be right now.
Yep. But we'll talk about that, I guess, in a little bit. But yeah, so we eventually get the Brad finding the idol, and kind of what happened to Xander in the first episode. Brad gets kind of snowballed by the fact that
Hmm.
he gets these advantages and he cannot use them because he does not have a vote to wager. So it's again very unfortunate that things kind of stacked the way that they did for him. And we eventually go to the island here, and I'm starting to think I don't think there's going to be a tribe swap this season because I think they're going to keep trying to mingle and match everybody with
Hmm.
these joint council summit type I don't know, decision processes. What do you think?
I agree, and I will say that reminded me. Tiffany made me giggle at the summit. Tiffany basically forcing everyone to make a decision. I believe she actually said, "Well, are we going to play it safe? Or are we going to play Survivor, or something along those lines?" Which Tiffany, I'm sorry, I really don't think you have a leg to stand on when it comes to playing Survivor at this current moment. You've managed to stay safe, but your track record's not been flawless, to say the least. So, but
Yeah,
yeah,
it's weird.
it's
Yeah, go ahead.
it's it's I think I like the little summits because it definitely gives people look at Evie and who was she with? Was it Deshawn she was with?
It was with Deshaun, yes.
Yeah, look at them. They formed a great little bond on their journey. I'm excited to see if they both make it post merge. That could be one of the people that Lulu brings in.
Yeah, I think something that I'm incredibly impressed with is the game that Evie's been able to play so far,
Hmm.
and very happy to see the Yase tribe get off the Schneid,
Yeah.
win a challenge. We've seen this happen time and time again in Survivor, where tribes get decimated in these early episodes, and
Hmm.
then that just core group of people manage to at least
Pull it together.
patch it together
Yeah.
pull it together to a better point, a la the Foa 4 from
Yes.
Samoa, and that alliance ran the entire show,
Hmm.
like post merge.
And I
So
will say, I
oh,
have to give credit where credit's due. Tiffany did hold her own in this challenge. She did very well. Yase as a whole kind of really pulled it together this challenge. And kind of, I think, surprised a lot of people. I mean, I think I was one of the people who saw their early performance and said, well, this will be a tribe of two or three or even one. So good to see them kind of holding their own. I do think, unfortunately, here because at the end of the day, this is a TV show. We are probably due for a loss from the Blue Tribe here shortly.
yeah, it's tough. Um, yeah, it's. I really hope that's not the case, but we'll talk about the preview a little bit later.
Hmm.
But yeah, I want to touch quickly back on the summit again, and I want to agree. If we were doing power rankings every week, Tiffany is tanking.
Yeah.
Tiffany is so far at the bottom of my power rankings, and again, I'm very happy for her, and I think a lot of it is just like you're playing Survivor, you're excited. I appreciate people that play like they have 0 days left.
Right.
And granted, I think if this tribe goes to another tribal council, it is probably going to be Tiffany
Probably.
because I just think the bond between the younger three Yase members is just too strong. But
Hmm.
yeah, I feel kind of bad for Sydney here.
Yeah.
Sydney ends up getting diddly squat because she wants to do the right thing by her tribe, and then Brad and Tiffany make out like bandits. And yet Tiffany's the one that makes out the best out of all of them because Brad gets voted out because he can't use anything, and Sydney gets nothing to play with. So Tiffany is sitting with an extra vote to use at
Hmm.
some point. So
No, and for her, I mean, worst comes to worst. Let me do the math here. She could tie it.
yes,
She could at least tie the vote. So perhaps that will come in handy for her. Um, but yeah, Brad. Man, I think Brad, unfortunately, in the beginning part of this episode, probably was starting to put it together. I just think probably a little too late.
yeah. So this episode kind of flies by.
Yes.
So we do see a lot of camp life stuff. For sure. But we are going to have an immunity challenge here. And again, a lot of the storylines kind of going into the tribal council is that, Brad is kind of being Ricard and why am I drawing a blank right now? Is it Ricard and who's is it Shan that doesn't trust Brad, or is it somebody else that I'm
Mm.
thinking of? I don't know why I'm blanking right
Oh,
now.
it's JD, right?
It's it's Ricard, and so it's the big dynamics of both tribes is that JD actually gets busted with his steal a vote by Shannon
Yes.
Ricard. So Shannon Ricard feel a type of way about JD right now. Um, and it's really funny. I don't know if I maybe missed something. Why does Brad think that Shan is one of his number ones? Because she has
I
proven to very not be.
I have no idea. No, I felt like I missed something there too, especially when, Brad was kind of filling Shannon on all of his advantages. I was like, for what? For why? Y'all really weren't that close. Like Jeannie, I understood. They were clearly close. I feel like Jeannie was genuinely excited for Brad and said, "Oh, this is good for us as a pair." Shan, I don't know, but it kind of this episode really works out in Shan's favor because I think by all technicalities, she has JD's advantage now.
Yeah, pretty much. And again, that's great leverage for Shan, and Shan continues to impress me a lot in these first few episodes, and I'm still going to ride with her as my winner pick because she's expertly playing, uh, this sort of middle game. Her and Ricard, I think, are, uh, doing very, very well for each other. And you even see Ricard talk about it in the tribal council where he's at the point now where he's ready to prioritize individual relationships
Hmm.
because, the tribes are so small. And I think I might have even said this in the pre-show, in the tribe breakdown podcast, but I feel like Brad's role as a provider is very much diminished in a smaller season like this because people I feel like are just going to be willing to cut people like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at how Lulu's kind of looking at Nasir at this point.
Yeah, like yeah, exactly. Like Nasir, and granted, I feel like Nasir has definitely rubbed people a wronger way
For
than
sure.
Brad
No, for
has.
sure.
Yeah, but they both are definitely like drinking out of the same water fountain. Like
Right.
it's not it hasn't been pretty. But yeah, so that's kind of one of the big storylines of the Uwa tribe, and this is the tribe we see a lot of this week because they are going back to tribal council, and uh, Brad kind of he seems pretty uh caught off guard, but again, the edit makes it seem I don't really know at what point was the edit going to make it seem not the case because Brad had the deck stacked in his favor, and I think the bigger consequence that I'm feeling out of this is that we could potentially lose Jeannie if they lose again because Jeannie without
Yeah.
an alliance member, I think.
Yeah, and I kind of thought in the beginning Ricard and Jeannie were close, but now that I see Ricard interact with JD and Shan, I'm thinking not so much so. I don't think they're as close as maybe they were in the first episode. I feel like maybe behind the scenes, what we didn't see, maybe Jeannie did get really close to Brad. Maybe they were each other's ones, and everyone else just kind of went and did their own thing. And now, like you said, we're at a point where if they go to tribal again, I don't really see who else it could be. Well, or unless, so we kind of skimmed over this. What had happened was JD got caught with his advantage that he lied about. And so, and so in JD's mind, he was going home. It was bad. And so, in order to make, Shan and Ricard trust him again, he gives his steal a vote to Shan.
Yeah, that's huge. Now, I'm curious because I think it might be one of those things where I'd have to go back and watch the episode because I'm not sure how the verbiage went. This might work the same way that the steal a vote advantage went in Game Changers,
Hmm.
because I remember a very similar situation happens where it's between Sarah and Suri, and Sarah is trying to garner trust with Suri, so Sarah gives Suri her steal a vote, and then Sari tries to use it against Sarah in like the following tribal council, and then it's decided that this is not of something that you can like bestow upon somebody else
Right.
or something like that. So I don't know what the verbiage of that works. I think this is mostly just extortion. So
Yeah, no, that is what it seems like.
yeah, so I don't exactly know how this might pan out. I don't think Shan's just gonna. I think unless it's one of those things where JD like is just like I am consenting to giving you usage of my advantage.
Right.
I don't think Shan can just pop out the seal of vote in the next tribal council and use it. So I don't know, but again, it's a huge move for her socially.
Hmm.
JD has been an absolute wild card so far, and
Mhm.
everybody now knows that he's been sitting on his advantage and hasn't been the most truthful. And he's already been, very, very, high on people's power rankings. He's played a really good game so far, but a bit of a misstep here. And I think this is going to work out really well for Ricard and Shan because, like you mentioned, JD's pretty much indebted to them at this point, so he's really not going to be able to have much wiggle room to do anything crazy, at least in the next few votes.
Right. And I think it will be interesting now. Brad gained the immunity idol, and since he now has gone home, lost the immunity idol. So I am kind of super excited to see how they kind of put the idol back in circulation.
Yeah, that's another curious thing because I guess in traditional Survivor fashion, like you mentioned, they've been putting back idols that are not used by contestants.
Hmm.
Do you put this idol back into circulation with the verbiage and all this? I feel like it's very convoluted, but I feel like they're gonna have
No,
to
they have
because
to.
otherwise, otherwise Xander's just gonna be talking about butterflies that are dead relatives
Right.
for the rest of the season. So
I will say I found it hysterical when Brad had the oh shoot moment where he realized that Xander had the idol.
yes, that is so funny. Where he just immediately harken back to yeah, he was talking about butterflies. He has to have it, and it's just I thought it was the absolute funniest thing. And then you see them have that great moment of the immunity challenge where he's like that thing you said about broccoli.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
And
so
now
funny.
I think it will be a very interesting moment at the next challenge to kind of see Xander's reaction to all this, because he and Brad had just kind of had that moment of, hey, like, we got each other, we know they don't know, but we know. And now Xander is gonna kind of have to go from, oh well, at least one other person out of the three has it, to now almost back to square one, unless someone just finds it immediately next episode.
Yeah, and I think I feel like eventually we're getting to the point where someone's gonna find this. So,
Right.
we do see a little bit of a crazy preview for the next episode, and they talk about it. But, yeah, just going back to the immunity challenge real quick. Any thoughts coming out of here? This challenge looked really cool. I don't think we've ever seen this one
No, and
before.
it did. It was a very Survivor challenge. They love to do things very high up over the water.
Yes.
So essentially, and it was so interesting to me to see the different techniques for this, wearing shoes versus not wearing shoes. Because basically, what you had to do is you had to climb up to a little platform, and then there was essentially a tightrope, which it had some slack to it. So the point was definitely to dip down. The farther you dip down, the more you lose your balance. Um, and then there were four ropes then hanging vertically that you kind of had to grab and use to balance as you shimmy your way across. I like that part. I thought that was really interesting. As far as shoes versus no shoes go, I had a very interesting thought of what I would do. I think I would almost, I'm going to probably regret this if I ever end up doing something like this, almost go, just one foot in front of the other, try to get the rope between my big toe and the toe next to
That is terrifying.
it.
Weren't you a gym? I remember. Weren't you a gymnast at some point?
Yeah,
Am I
so
remembering this
I've
correctly?
done tumbling, cheerleading, things like that. So my balance is all right. Um, so I'm trying to think. I'm like, that honestly seems like the best way to do that. And then I think making sure you have a super super tight, almost high. You don't want a loose grip on the vertical ropes. You want to get as high as you can, just so it's very tight, and you almost want to like extend your body. It sounds very crazy, but in my head it makes sense. Um, I feel like that's the best way to do this, because the more loose you are, the more slack you have on either of those ropes, you're gonna fall. And I'm trying to remember. Actually, I want to say most of them did the challenge fairly well.
Yeah, again, even Tiffany, who looked like she was gonna kind of tank it for the yellow tribe here, and they're doing a pretty good job. But yeah, these sort of challenges like terrify me in Survivor because like, if as someone who's a fan of the show, I like to imagine myself doing most of these
Yeah.
things. I'm so bad in the water. I'm a terrible swimmer. I I don't know how to swim. I just know how to like survive.
Right.
But I would be so bad in a situation like this. Like, let me be the puzzle guy. Let me untie ropes. Let me do anything else that's not like climbing,
Hmm.
into a rope ladder in the middle of the ocean for the world to see how bad of a swimmer I
And I
am. Like, this
believe,
terrifies me.
in addition to immunity, did they get fruit?
They did. This was a food challenge as well. So again, pretty light on the reward stuff so far, for obvious reasons. The season being tough as nails.
Yes,
But
very intense, very
uh
tough.
yeah, and even despite the Green Tribe losing, it was very much down to the wire.
Hmm.
It was a very, very competitive challenge. But yeah, again, good to see everybody, the yellow team, get off the schneid. And again, we don't really spend much time with them this episode. I actually don't know how much of a confessional we get out of them this week. Looking back in the recap, I don't really remember much.
Yeah, not much. I think that was kind of we're so we're so used to seeing them at this point that I feel like we were kind of a little weirded out not seeing them. Because they definitely took the back seat here. They were not really mentioned much. They just kind of did their thing. Obviously, they didn't lose, so there was no pre-tribal council discussion from them. They finally got their flint back.
Yes, good for them. A new twist. Like, if you haven't been watching, they losing tribe loses their flint and then gets it back the next time they win an immunity challenge.
Hmm.
Yeah, again, I do enjoy the much needed break from the yellow tribe this episode because they have been on so much of our TV. But yeah, and then we get a nice little helping from the blue tribe, like we mentioned. Sydney's the one that finds the hidden advantage here amongst everyone else, and you see Nasir kind of start to rub people the wrong way, and they're still thinking about that whole day one, oh yeah, I caught them looking for idols
Hmm.
bit.
Yeah, no. Will be interesting. I'm actually really quickly gonna watch the preview for next week if I can. I don't know why I'm not remembering. Let me see here.
Yeah, it's a lot of there's a lot of chaos. There's a lot of Sydney crying. I remember it.
Hmm.
Like, Sydney's like, I'm very excited to see, Sydney show, more and more, because she's the few scenes she's been in, she's been electric. She's such a firecracker. I've read a lot of her interviews online and such, and the social media, after the fact, and she's very much just in it for herself and the
Hmm.
money. And I know eventually this is going to get shown on the TV at some point. Like, she has the energy of someone that makes it really far in this game, and I think a bold prediction I'm willing to go on is that I think it's a woman. I think a woman's going to win this season.
Yeah.
I'm starting to get a vibe here.
And actually, now that I found like a little blog that recapped just the preview. I remember now as I see this still of Sydney crying on the beach. Uh, yeah, should be interesting. Looks like we are finally going to get some Luvu lore next week. Um,
Yeah,
and so I think it will be interesting too, knowing that Sydney kind of. I mean, at this point, when you look at Brad, who just went home with everything in his pocket, Sydney really doesn't have anything to go home with, and doesn't have anything to lose if she goes home at this point. Um, so
yeah,
it will be interesting.
yeah. I don't know. It's gonna hurt. But yeah, we
Yeah.
do spend a lot of time with the Green Tribe this week, and it does end with, like we mentioned, Brad being sent home. And I'm quite sad, especially as someone like myself. Like, I don't know about you, Shannon. I'm a filthy leaker. Was a patron to Inside Survivor for a few months this summer, where they Dalton, I believe I think that's Dalton Ross. No, it's not Dalton Ross, it's somebody else. I have to look this up real quick. Inside Survivor. Great quality podcasting. There we go. It is Martin Holmes
Mm.
is the gentleman that runs the site. They post a lot of Survivor inside rumor and innuendo.
Hmm.
So I've actually known who the cast is going to be for a little bit. I just don't know anything about them. So it's a little upsetting that I've spent so much time looking at who these people are through a leaked Patreon
Right.
thing, and now those senior to kind of see them kind of fizzle out here. But how will we remember Brad? Because he's going out in the number 4 spot, so we got to spend a little bit of time with him, but he barely has a beard. Are we going to remember him? Now, there have been some greats that have gone on to come back after voting out fourth, a la Kelly Wentworth
Mhm.
being one of them. So, how do you think the public will remember Brad?
Chaotic.
Yeah.
Brad, like I said, I think he was unfortunately the episode he goes home is the episode where he kind of starts to put the pieces together in his head of how he should be playing. Um, but definitely for the first 3 episodes, super chaotic, super off the cuff. I am gonna go out on a limb and say I would like to see Brad play again. Not just because he was one of my personal favorites, but because I think with the perspective he has now, I think he could do better.
Yeah, I can see that. And I've read an article online that I think Survivor might be fading away from All Star seasons for a while until
Mhm.
they maybe kind of like replenish that cast. And Brad's young enough to where he could probably play another time. I would love to see Brad come back. I thought he was great television. I knew going into this he was going to be great television regardless.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited. But yeah, unfortunate demise for Brad here. And again, the men are being picked off like flies here. 3 out of the first 4 votes are men. So again,
Yeah.
I think these girls, man, they're tough stuff. But I think if I'm confirmed anything this season, I'm expecting Shan and Ricard to make a deep run this season. I think that pair might be unbreakable.
I also do want to see more of Evie. I think for some reason I just feel like Evie and possibly Shan and Jeannie could be a really good alliance. uh, so I would like to see that. I don't know. I don't foresee. I think if Yase goes to tribal again, I think Tiffany's done. Um, Luvu, it's hard to say. Uh,
Yeah, it's weird because like this tribe looks so put together, but we've also seen so little of them.
right.
I don't think Heather's had a confessional in 2 episodes.
I
Like,
don't know anything about Heather. I really don't.
yeah,
I just feel like given the preview and given what we know so far, if next week is the week for Luvu to go to tribal, just from what we've seen so far, including the preview, for me it's between Sydney and Nasir.
yeah, it's tough because Sydney definitely has energy of being a very uh chaotic person. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm very curious to see how things are gonna click here. But yeah, I don't know. It's hard. I think I personally I think we need to bring these 3 tribes into 2 IMO in my honest opinion
Yeah.
because like especially considering like they've gone to 2 different locale sets
Mm-hmm.
for like game twist stuff, and as much as I like that stuff, it really hurts in the editing process of these characters, because something that I praised the first episode of the show about is that it really did a good job, conveying the people that we get to hang out with. They did a really good job kind of setting the scene for certain people's stories.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't really we've kind of fallen away from that in a little bit in these last 2 episodes because there's been so much stuff happening.
Right.
So I would like to maybe see this brought down to 2 tribes, so at least we get to like spend time with these people a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I feel like they've really been harping on the fact that this season is hard and it sucks, and we're gonna make it as painful for people as possible. To try to generate any sort of to try to generate any sort of like real compelling storytelling here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I hope kind of maybe next week, or well, I guess at this point tomorrow, we we
Yeah.
we pick back up and we kind of get back to that, because and I also feel like this episode was just very rushed.
Yeah, I feel a certain way about how this episode panned out. Like there wasn't really a whole lot, story wise, edit wise. It felt pretty, set in stone from the beginning that everyone's like, yeah, I don't really trust Brad. I don't really trust JD.
Right.
If this tribe goes to tribal council, it's not going to be that compelling of a story because everyone's going to know what's going on. So that's a little unfortunate there, but Yeah, listen, we got a great episode to look forward to, at least this next coming week. And again, this is kind of a duller episode. So I feel like next podcast we do is definitely going to be a little bit more enticing to talk
Yeah,
about.
I feel like next week, hopefully it'll pick back up. I hope that next week is not so advantage heavy. Like I feel like, okay, we've done that for episode 3. Let's get back to kind of to gameplay for episode 4.
Yes, no, I agree 100%. I think they needed to get that out of the way. I feel like for the first few episodes of the show, this season, Survivor's been like that meme of the kid with the vein popping out of his head,
Yeah.
where they like want it's like gotta talk about advantages, man. Gotta talk about advantages. Like,
Mhm.
what are we gonna do, man? It's like they haven't quite been able to figure it out, unfortunately. So, it's tough stuff. But again, I think because there's already a hidden immunity idol that we know about out. I don't think we're gonna see like the 3 tribe twist again. I think we'll get like the random letter in tree mail where they send people to the hiking path and they got to do stuff.
Right.
So I think that's probably where we're gonna get a little bit more of our storytelling here, but we'll see. And I do hope that at least someone from Luvu. I just hope that they show the other, charades idol, so that way we can finally get to the conclusion of this. Because I feel so bad for Xander. He's
I know.
literally can't do it. He's like a comic relief character in a sitcom.
Right. Yeah,
Really can't do
no.
much right now.
He can't, he's kind of stuck. He can't vote. He can't save himself. So yeah, no, I kind of hope. I think it was a really good idea for the first couple episodes, but I am definitely on the camp where I'm like, all right, get it over with. Like let's find these other 2 idols and let's get a move on here. Because definitely, if you think about it, they're tribe dependent idols. It has to
Yes.
happen pre-merge then, ideally.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, that's true. I actually didn't think about that. Yeah, I feel like here's my thought. Here's some editing magic. I feel like at some point someone's gonna find these idols
Right.
because I feel like if they tried this and if they look at this in post and they're like nobody's gonna be able to get this, they probably would have just canned it and just like I don't know, hid another idol or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but what should I call it? Yeah, I don't know. I feel like somebody does eventually find this and it works out for them and we do eventually get to see like the pan ultimate ending of just like everybody talking about broccoli and butterflies and all this
Right.
stuff
Everyone
instead of
says
like
their phrases. It's great. We can move on.
yeah. So that's gonna make for a great episode whenever that happens. Maybe that's this next episode. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see how it pans out. But yeah. Any other standout things for this week's episode
No,
from you?
no, I'm excited for this next episode. The preview looks good. Yeah, and I hope to get back to, more survivor gameplay. Like I said, I think the advantages are cool, but to me it's been a lot in the first 3 episodes. So I would kind of like to, and this is I think the purist in me. I want to see them play the game. I want to see them make alliances, do the challenges, So I kind of hope we're getting maybe, they're excited to be back, obviously. I hope we kind of transition into a more gameplay vibe going forward. Now, for all we know, though, they could be saving that for when the merge happens. And then it could be strictly gameplay, and we're all thrilled. Um,
Yeah. That is also something I've been thinking about too. So, traditionally in a regular Survivor season, they usually merge after 6 votes ish.
mhm,
I don't know if they're gonna merge sooner or later because of the extended season. So we're at what day 5, day 6, I think,
mhm,
maybe more. Maybe, no, I think it's about days. We're about like day 7, day 8.
right.
So I think we're still maybe let's see, 26 days. They usually merge on day. God, math is hard. I don't know. They usually merge with like 13 people left in the game.
Right.
I don't think they're gonna merge anytime soon, unless this next episode happens to be a double boot, which will be fun.
Yeah, we haven't had that since the first episode?
Yeah, and I feel like we're gonna see a lot of those for that very reason.
Mhm.
Because they have they're on a bit of a time crunch, so they're probably. I think we're gonna see at least maybe 2 more double boot episodes. and
Yeah.
not kind of the finale where everything's a double boot episode. So
Right. No, I definitely think pacing wise, I think this would be an interesting double boot. It would be interesting to maybe do because Luvu is at 5 or 6 still.
they're at 6. They haven't lost a single tribe member yet.
Okay, so if it's a double boot and say it's Luvu and Uwa, that brings Uwa down to 4, Yase's at 4, and then Luvu's at 5,
Yeah, so that would be
which
good for
is
them going into the
13.
merge. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I don't know if they'd merge so soon though. That feels like a lot of time to be merged together. I don't know. It's gonna be weird.
It is,
Um,
almost 2 weeks shorter than normal.
this is true. Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if that's what they end up doing. Um, that being said, though, something interesting before we can get out of here. I did read an article this week. I think it was in Jeff's Prof's interview with with EW after the episode aired.
Hmm.
He basically confirms that there is no live finale to announce the winner, and the winner's announced on site for the first time since Borneo.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, again, probably not that big a surprise. I feel like they might have filmed this in an era where the vaccine might not have been readily
Right.
available for everybody. So I don't
Right.
think everybody was able to get their vaccine before heading out to Survivor. Even though, from what I understand, Survivor has a very rigorous vaccination process for like things you need to get shots for before you go out.
Right.
I think Max Dawson like posted a picture of like all of like the different things he needed like shots and booster shots for.
Right.
So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. That's definitely going to be a nice little change of pace.
Yeah, and I think also given the not only a shorter season, but the kind of I'm just excited to see what the jury looks like. Um, and to kind of see, if there is no live audience, do they kind of go a different direction? Do they let the jury speak a little more? I'm really interested to see how they do that.
Yeah, that is going to be true as well. Because like you merge this soon, do you have like a bigger jury? Do we go back to maybe an older school season of Survivor, or you merge at like 10 people, but
Right.
then there's like I don't know, you're as a merged tribe for like I don't know, 8 days. Like it's gonna be it's god, it's gonna be so weird. But I'm so excited to think about like all like the little math games are gonna be fun. To plan and plot around.
I think I just feel like after this episode it's going to be clear because I definitely feel like if not this episode we got to be coming up on something. Either they're going to split into two or they're going to merge. So I'm excited to kind of see what tomorrow and next episode brings us.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm very, very excited. Any do you want to give maybe a bold prediction for this next episode?
I'm going to go with kind of what we said. I think a double elimination.
Okay, I think we're gonna see a tie vote. I don't
Hmm.
know. Maybe I'm feeling a little weird.
Well, and I mean, but that that could actually happen if Yase does go to tribal though.
It's true. This is very true. But yeah, I'm very, very excited. Again, this is kind of there's long season. It's probably gonna be a slower episode every now and then. This episode was pretty not much going on, pretty straightforward. So,
Yeah, it was all
like I
right.
said, but Shannon, listen, this next coming episode might be a lot of fun. We might be here for a bit.
Yeah, I'm excited.
All right, but I guess that's gonna wrap things up for this episode. Again, thank you guys so much for joining us for our recap. Shannon, want to let the lovely people at home know where they can find you in your corner of the internet.
All right, well, I will be on twitter.com. You may request to follow me. It is at shenanigans it's at _ shenanigans, SHANNONIGANZ. Not streaming on Twitch yet. Soon, maybe. We'll see. Soon.
Soon. We shall wait for that. And you guys can follow me on Twitter at KoopaNJ across platforms. I can't announce something that I'm going to be at yet because it's not, by the time this podcast goes up, it still won't be a thing yet. So
Soon.
stay tuned. Soon is the gimmick here. But listen, thank you guys so much for joining us for an episode this week of The Tribe is Broken, and we'll see you guys on the flip side.
Bye, guys. See you next week.